Welcome back to Talking Lead. This is episode 65, and we are at the FOP fundraiser.
Fraternal Order of Police.
Another event show.
Heroes behind the badge.
Si, senor.
Yes, we are here.
And we've got that
and people
guy.
are filling in. They're starting to come in.
We got that guy from last week that didn't get to talk much about
last
his
week,
stuff.
Yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday technically. But this isn't going to air until next week, so we'll try to maintain the illusion.
Okay.
So what did you do with guns this week?
The jig is up.
Thanks for having me back the next day.
What'd you do with guns since our last show?
Well, I went to Knob Creek, and no, I didn't. It's going on right now as we speak.
I put mine on since our last show. That's about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have done
I've got
something.
a very nice new holster from Savoy Leather.
Yes, you do.
That I'm sporting today. It's for my Glock 23. Have you seen it?
Yes. Yeah, I was with you when you got it.
Yeah. But you haven't seen it on.
I'm going to get you checked for Alzheimer's.
You haven't seen it on.
Okay.
I've actually got it looped and on my side. So
It looks good.
it feels good, too. I can't really tell that I've got it on there. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking that it was going to be very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Because, one, it's you can do inside or outside the waistband with it. So I'm doing outside the waistband. Typically I don't like through the belt holsters. I like the clips. But I like this. It's comfortable.
Have you put it inside the waistband yet? Or
I
is it
haven't.
Still, is it?
My pants are too tight.
I was wondering if those were the size 32 or the 34.
Yeah, these are the 32s. I'm going to have to go back to those 34s. So it's a good thing I didn't get rid of those, so I can go inside the waistband with these.
I usually end up like that. If I'm going outside the waistband, I'm rolling the 32s. But
Yeah.
34s where I go inside the waistband, and then.
Yeah, I just dropped down to the 32s. So I've got, I was at 34.
Were you trying to drop down to the 32s?
No.
Oh,
No.
see,
I've been training for this Tough Mudder, and it's just like shedding weight off of me.
Man,
but I haven't
I've
lost
stopped-
any weight. I've actually
you're
gained
just
weight.
losing. Yeah, you're just
Just lost some fat.
losing fat, gaining muscle.
Yeah.
I actually stopped drinking a whole lot, which doesn't sound really good.
Oh, why would you ever do that?
I don't know, but I actually stopped drinking a whole lot, and I'm actually down like 8 pounds off of not drinking a whole lot
So
at all.
just-
I've switched over to like red wine. Shout out to Cupcake Wine.
I started
Cupcake
smoking
wine?
crack. That's how I started losing my weight.
You
It's
crack
fast.
smoker.
It works fast.
It's great for the skin.
Yes.
But no, yeah, I mean it's
No,
very
that's meth.
comfortable. So, but yeah, I'm going to rock the 34s probably tomorrow to see how it goes inside the waistband.
So Matt,
Getting hot?
Mr. Matt Powell, as I take my jacket off. Not like I'm going to take you on or anything. It's funny we're talking about losing weight and fitness because you're kind of like a fitness martial arts guru. We didn't really get to talk about that much.
Sensei.
Sensei.
Yeah, kind of.
Are you Shufi? What are they called?
Feng Shui.
Feng Shui.
No. Shifu.
Ching Chang.
Shifu. Isn't that like
Ching
Kung
Chang
Fu
Chong
master
talk.
teacher guy?
Bing,
No,
bing,
Or is that
bling.
just a Kung Fu panda?
I actually
Bing,
had a
bang,
guy
flume.
in Japan.
Michael, correct me on
In
that.
Korea, send me a birthday message on Facebook, and he said Master Powell, and that's the first time outside
Wow.
of I've had like different. I've been put up for different awards with organizations where they'll put Master, but like technically, I don't think I really qualify as Master. But yeah, I've been at it for 15 years. So I started back in '97. The math is probably bad, but yeah, back in '97 is when I
97.
started, and started back then, and was training under a
Started
system
from
called
the bottom. Now you're here.
Yeah, well,
I gotta
I've
make
been
you feel
around
it.
some great people over time,
like Ludacris.
like Ludacris. That
And Eminem. Wait,
Yeah.
you were Eminem for a while.
yeah. So
Wait.
Tell the story.
Wait a minute. We didn't. I missed this part.
Yeah.
I said on,
We were talking about
on
it
last
earlier.
week's episode, probably about 12 hours ago. I was saying that there was a funny story about it that we were in Harlem when we were on tour. We went to a restaurant and we walked in. Since I'm the only white guy in the group, we sit down and this elderly black lady that owned the place came over and she said, "We got Ludacris and we got Eminem in here." And I was like, "Ma'am, I'm not." And Chris looks over and he's like, "Shut up. Just go with it, man. We're going to get free food." And so, staying like by the end of it, I had taken a photo sitting with Chris and I had to sign it as Eminem.
Oh wow.
So somewhere in Harlem, there's a picture of me with Ludacris and my
With Eminem
bald,
over your
like,
name, over your
not
face.
looking, yeah,
Not
with
looking anything like him.
it, and the signature. I did try to sign Eminem. It looked more like hieroglyphics, but yeah, I've
So did
been
you do like the
fortunate enough
big loopy loop kind of signature
No,
to make it look all
was-
professional? And
it was
He
real
did the
quick and
M&M's candy
stardom.
logo.
It was real quick and dirty.
the M&M Candies logo.
That's what she said.
M.
M&M.
Now, it's funny how over the years, it's just I've seen the industry move in so many different directions, and I've been around it for so long. Because I started, most people have heard of Sistema, and I started in a form of Russian style back in '97 under
what is
a guy who's it's a generic term for Russian martial art,
Okay.
and I started back then under a guy. He was teaching Russian martial art at the time named Scott Sonnen, and he was my teacher for a long time. Then after about 2 years, I ended up going to Russia, going back and forth to a school called the Kalishnikov School for about 4 years, going back and forth,
Kalishnikov
training
School.
over there. Learned a lot about the Kalishnikov over there from the Russians. So I trained back and forth.
The Kalishnikov, huh?
No. He was this
somebody,
is
another-
Kalishnikov.
Oh,
different Russian name.
Okay.
They all
Real
look the
close.
same.
But
Spell it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I guess I could. But
No.
then in 2004, they said, "Go forth and prosper," or whatever the Vulcans say,
Live
because
long
that's
and
how they
prosper.
think. Yeah.
did they spread their
They
fingers
spocked
apart
me.
like that?
That was
You
the
get
main
spocked.
kill move that I learned was the
grab your
Vulcan
neck.
death grip, and I just fall down.
The
So
pinch.
we started our own system, and then 2008, 2011, I stopped teaching publicly because I've mainly focused on military and law enforcement for a long
So
time.
you're not teaching publicly anymore?
I do. In 2011, we came back out public with PROMEC, which the system had been called since 2004.
I was going to say, why the hell are we having you on the
Yes.
show then? I mean, what are you promoting?
And so now, we've got instructors in 6 states. Got an instructor in the UK, Holland, Germany, Israel. Tons of videos, and it's manuals. Written a bunch of books with some other researchers. So we've pushed it further than I ever thought it would be when I was just doing it. Instead of getting in bar fights to, getting. Trying to
did
make
it
some
just
money
to get
off
in
of
bar
a student
fights?
somewhere.
So you spent quite a bit of time in Russia.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah? A little bit?
I don't speak Russian.
No, you
None.
don't. No Sprickens.
Sprechen Sie
Do you know Agent,
Ruskaya?
do you know Agent Zero?
Sprickens
What's his
Instructor
name?
Zero?
Instructor Zero.
I think he's Italian.
Oh, okay.
Which would explain some of the
I
ridiculous
bet
things
you've got
that he
some pretty
does.
cool stories from over there, don't you?
I don't speak a lot of Russian. I always had a translator. Dr. Shevets, if you're listening from Russia, hello. I'm sorry that we didn't make it over. Actually, me, David Reeder, Aaron Cowan, and Chris Nagamura from S3F Solutions were supposed to be there last week. But all this stuff going on, we were going over to Russia to train with them. And with all this stuff going on, the Russians pushed it back
Gotcha.
with all the stuff in the Ukraine. But the only thing that I could read was omelet. And the only thing that I could, see that I wanted to drink other than beer was Fanta. And so at this point, I will not eat omelets, and I despise Fanta. People will pay me to drink Fanta, and I'm like,
Fanta.
screw your Fanta. I am not
I can't
drinking
say that I've ever
disgusting.
had a Fanta.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah, my stepson and my daughter love them.
What do they
So,
taste like?
Sun-kissed.
Like bad Russian memories and tears, and pain, and weird prostitutes that
Does it make
do
your teeth
crazy
glow
stuff.
after you drink it?
they actually
Kind
call
of
them.
feels like they do.
Yeah, it's
radioactive?
disgusting. It is not very good
little
at all.
plutonium 9 in there?
But it was that or beer or vodka, and of course I was drinking
Beer?
vodka like I was going out of business, so it was like might as well roll out with some Fanta.
Vodka and Fanta. New mixed drink. That's the PROMEC.
New fad.
That's what I'm gonna call it, the PROMEC.
Yep.
It's
Vodka
about
and Fanta.
8 parts vodka and
A splash of Fanta.
no, actually I'm gonna call that a Tuesday night. Maybe a Wednesday. I might throw in something that looks like
Maybe
Fanta.
do a grape Fanta on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's been an interesting ride, and I guess Aaron Cowan and I from Sage Dynamics know each other for about 5 years. We work together, know a lot of the same people. I train under him, and I teach for Sage Dynamics, and then we do a lot of work together. We actually just released a video today. So last week, people.
I'll go troll it later.
Yeah, troll the hell out of it. It's cool. We called it F3.
F3?
F3, Firearms Focused Fitness. And so basically, it's not like guys holding kettlebells and doing kettlebell lifts, holding a pistol. It's actually designed to, we put a 6-week challenge. If you do this, take your times at the beginning and take your performance at the beginning before you start it, and in 6 weeks, go back out, and we guarantee it will completely change your game.
Really?
Because
we're gonna have to come take a class.
It's it's a real. I mean, it'll smoke
After
it'll
the Tough
smoke
Mudder.
you to death. This workout is not easy, and it's not, like I said, it's not goofy. Like, I'm not Tony Horton, and I didn't get like an eye lift, and Aaron's not like Billy Blanks. It's legitimate the way that we did it. We were real careful about it.
Is he still around, Billy Blank?
You want? Oh,
Probably.
I got so many stories
About Billy Blanks?
He's he only made $250,000 off of Tybo.
No way.
Yep, signed a bad contract.
Wow.
No doubt.
Signed a bad
He got
contract.
screwed.
It's a
They made
horrible
$35 million, and he got paid $250,000 a year to do it.
That's garbage.
I want to know who his agent was, so we don't make that.
Don't use
mistake.
them.
Yeah.
Same agent that I have. That's why I'm doing this, and I'm not in Hollywood.
So
no, just kidding.
what do
Hey, you're
you?
getting free Diet Cola, man.
What's
Hey,
not
Sam's.
specialties? What do they call it? Disciplines. Do you have experience in martial arts?
So my primary training was in, if you were looking at disciplines, was really Sambo.
Okay.
So the 3 forms of Sambo.
Is that Russian?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Russian jacket wrestling. It's like Russian Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I know. Straight jacket wrestling.
I
You're
do
looking-
Russian jacket wrestling every morning. Yes.
Oh, I caught it.
Took you a while.
That and God, there's been so many people that I've trained with. It's hard to like name all the different things that we've done. What we did was our theory is theory plus movement equals application. So you break down everything scientifically to, instead of like the rising dragon claw, it's levers and wedges and screws and physics, biomechanics, mechanics, and so forth. It's an easier way to teach, because instead of teaching you technique A, now go and do technique A 500 times, we're going to teach you the principle of human equilibrium.
Okay.
And it's why you stand up.
Okay.
So once you understand why somebody stands up, it's very easy to weaponize that knowledge and make them fall down.
That makes sense.
So if you
similar to Aikido.
I like that. Weaponize that knowledge.
that's
Yes.
scientificize it. No, but I mean, so basically, what we do is we kind of break down everything like that, to where instead of going, okay, this is the technique and this is what you do, it's easy to learn for people that are just starting, but people that have been in martial art. Most of our people that come to us have been in martial art for 20, 30 years, because
Right.
the way we teach is so completely different than everybody else.
So for a novice like me getting into it, would you suggest that I just jump into that, or start off with another discipline first?
No,
work
you
my way
could,
up to it?
depending on what you want. I mean, literally, you could get like our combative striking series. It's 4 hours for $30. What? And we got cheap
That's pretty
prices.
good.
I got a day job.
No wonder you have a day job.
Because I'm a horrible businessman.
Charge more.
It's not even $10 an hour.
I know.
I know.
I hope
So
you
I
get
roll.
like 30 people in the class.
Oh, I mean, our seminars are great.
You're going for
Everybody says
quantity.
the same thing, that we should jack prices up, but we don't do DVD. It's digital download, so our overhead is next to nothing.
Okay.
So
So it's
since
not
our-
a class in a classroom. It's DVD. Or it's
That video, we have
Okay.
we have dozens of instructional videos.
Okay, so this is not you
I thought
actually
you were
hands-on
teaching a
in
class
person.
for $30.
Oh hell no! It's more expensive for me to walk out on the mat.
Okay,
than
well,
$30.
that's
It's
expensive.
40. But you get like combative striking, and you go in, you learn the mechanics, you learn how to strike, you learn strategy, you learn cutting people off, corners, you learn clinch, you learn every single thing, but you learn it a different way than other people teach it. It's not technique. It's
Sure.
very principle driven. It's not like shooting, where you need fighting is not like shooting. Shooting, you have your draw. You get purchase on the weapon, you pull it out, you rotate it, you push, you punch out. Fighting's not like that, because fighting doesn't go down like that. It's a chaotic situation where
They're the
fighting
same thing
is,
twice.
Yeah, it's more problem solving than it is physical. Like you start with your basic techniques that we teach, but then after that, we really teach adaptation and problem solving.
So you've got stuff going on with Aaron right now at Sage Dynamic, right?
Yep. So we've got some co-courses coming up for weapon retention, weapon disarm, combatives, close quarters combatives classes, utilizing both the Sage Dynamics side and the PromX side. He and I think very similar, and so for the firearms world, I'm not going to roll out there and be like, "Hey guys, I can shoot guns." I mean, you see a lot of guys that just show up on YouTube and they're
Right.
doing bullshit like. I don't.
Like
I'm
us.
not going to jump in. Yeah, but you guys look legitimate. I swear. But I'm not
Keyword
gonna.
is
I'm not
look.
gonna jump
Yeah,
into
right.
the fitness or into the firearms industry myself. I'm a competent shooter and I know what I'm doing, but I don't have time to do that. I love combatives, so I partner with somebody that knows what they're doing, that we can work together and create courses together. Like fitness, I work with a guy named Eric. He's got a program called Warrior Mode, and it's ridiculous. We released a product on that. It's a badass body weight workout program that I'm not going to be like Mr. Fitness Guy. I'm going to partner with somebody that is extremely good at what they do, and then we'll create a product together versus me trying to be all things to everybody, because I'm just going to fall short.
You're all things to us.
You guys look legit for the firearms community.
Are so beautiful.
Oh, God. Two
Stop
shows in a
staring
row.
at me.
Two shows in a row. Wow.
Little Joe Cocker for.
I'm not looking for
listeners.
the Heinz commercial again.
Hey, so all right, I got a question for you. What does the name of your company mean? Does it mean something? What's the meaning
PROMEC
behind it?
is the practical mechanics system. It's actually the original name of the Kalashnikov system in Russia. We named it PROMEC as kind of an homage to our lineage, and he blessed it. Said, "Yeah, you can do it." So we wanted to do what they never did, and to push beyond what they had developed. And so we felt like it was fitting to call it that before. That's what it was called before it was called the name they call it over there. So we went with the original name because we're going with the original concept of taking science and applying it to everything in our own way.
Good answer.
I know.
Like
I'm
that.
a blue belt in jiu-jitsu.
I'm not.
I got a brown belt and Thai bow.
I got a brown skid mark in my.
That counts.
What's that count for?
I got a black belt and ching ching bang bang.
I took
bang bang.
Come on,
I
man.
took jiu-jitsu in college for a class for a whole summer, and at the end, I was like, "Did we like get a belt or anything?" He goes, "Yeah, you're probably a blue belt." So I'm like, yeah, I'm
it's
a blue
funny
belt.
because I know Hoyler Gracie, and
He just had a big fight.
yeah, with Eddie
Yeah.
Bravo, and I saw Hoyler at SHOT Show. He was there with a bunch of friends, and
Is he a gun
we
guy?
all got together. Oh yeah, Hoyler's a major gun guy.
I was gonna say we got interrupted because I'm trying to get a bid in on those Noveski lowers.
Is there?
Yeah, there's two.
There's two
They
of
got
them
two
over
Noveski lowers over
lot
I
of
there.
didn't
bids
even
on
see
them yet?
those.
Pepper's checking on them.
Okay.
So we've got our better halves here with us
Yes.
today.
Mrs. Zeke and Pepper.
Yep. So they're keeping an eye on some of the auction items for us so we don't miss out while we're doing the show.
All right, I'm going to let you plug PROMEC again because it might get kind of crazy with all the people coming in. We may forget to plug it. So
Where you're at, how to get in touch with
you can go on to www.promec.com. That's PRAMEK. And you can go on there. There's tons of stuff, tons of free videos you can watch. You can go on our YouTube. It's actually linked from the website. So when you go to the website, just hit watch, and it'll pop up all the YouTube videos on the website. On Facebook, facebook.com/Promec Systems. So you can look us up over there. Instagram, I am Matt Powell is my Instagram. And
You are.
Twitter is I am Matt Powell.
You are.
And Tumblr is I am Matt Powell.
Tumblr?
So, yeah. Kind of everything.
Man, there's another new one.
Don't get on
We've got
there.
Tumblr.
It's pretty liberal.
All I do is Tumblr is just link our Instagram to it. I've
I
never even
think
looked
that's
at
the
it.
name of my Instagram. Let me check. I'm not
It is.
social
it's
media.
I am my pal.
I'm not
I
a
looked at
big-
it last night.
I'm not a huge social media person. I mean, I'm on there, and I need all the likes I can get, all the thumbs up.
So
thumbs,
I don't
everything.
get. All right, so if all you do is post to Instagram and it goes to Tumblr and all these, why do you need all these other freaking?
Did you know in Asia there's a
the public image is I want to be able to have a platform for everyone to see things. The real image is SEO, search engine
100%
optimization.
SEO. Man, I'm still
the
on
more,
MySpace.
The more you're out there in all these sites, the more hits you get on the search engines, and the more you're seen.
I mean, we're
first.
set up on like Orchid. I'm
Well,
set
I
up.
understand that, but I mean, why do they
OkCupid, I
develop
don't care.
them? if
Like, I'll get on
You're
anyway.
doing the same thing on Instagram and Tumblr.
Because, well, here's the thing for me is that I would say 80% of our web traffic, and we get a lot of web traffic at promec.com, PRAMEK.com.
Say it with a
He
Russian
knows
voice.
how
It's
to
your
plug.
boy, Matt Powell.
He knows how to plug.
Say it with a Russian
But-
voice. Promec.
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 You son of a
K.
bitch.
With a K.
But 80% of all of our traffic is organic. It's not social media related. And so for us, I'm trying to, Instagram is we get more stuff on Facebook than we get on Instagram. Because Instagram's not a huge martial art area because martial art and fitness hasn't pushed in there because you can't like show
Start
a
it.
picture of a punch like you can
You can show a video.
Savoy leather
You got 15-second videos.
Yeah, you can do that, but it's not the same as people love gun porn.
Be a trendsetter.
I already have. It's called IG. It's Promec IG tip. Hashtag Promec IG tip, and it's 15-second like instructionals that we put up there every now and then. I mean, I go after these things, but you never know if they're going to work. But we try to push into it.
And then Matt, you're going to stick around the whole show, right?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Sweet.
So we've got a guest that just stepped in studio.
Stepped in the kindergarten preschool room where we're set up.
Our makeshift studio. Point of our being here is the Heroes Behind the Badge fundraiser. We have the executive producer of this film, Bill, and if I screw your last name up, I'm sorry. Erfurth.
There you go.
Bill Erfurth.
We had to say it a lot of times on the last show when he came on.
Yeah.
Probably, right?
Yeah. But now we get to see in person, not just on a little Skype video thing. So
there you go. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when we did the last interview, I was up in Canada.
Yeah.
So that's why we did it on
Now, do you
Skype.
live in Canada?
I have a second home up in Western Canada,
Okay.
so I was away on my ski trip, hiding from the world.
Nice.
It was nice. You swung the camera around and you were showing us some of the scenery out your windows.
Made us
Yeah,
well,
I think it was a little cloudy because it was snowing that day. So.
That was nice, though.
It was beautiful, absolutely. So, Bill, tell us about Heroes Behind the Badge and your involvement with it as the executive producer.
So, Heroes Behind the Badge is a real labor of love. It's a documentary film that we did in partnership with the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and that's a particular memorial in D.C., very much like the Vietnam Veterans Memorial or any of the others that you might think of. There's 20,000 names on that wall in Washington, D.C. of law enforcement officers that have been killed in the line of duty. It's very impressive. It's actually coming up this May. May 13th is National Peace Officers Memorial Day throughout the country, and in Washington they have an entire week of events in honor of the fallen officers. And why we're here tonight is Jay and Dave and some of the other folks here are actually part of a group that goes to Washington, D.C. each year to honor the fallen, quite frankly. And so we got together with the National Memorial to do these movies, and there'd never been a full-length feature documentary film done about the sacrifices and losses within the ranks of law enforcement and the goings-on during National Police Week. So in partnering with Craig Floyd, the chairman of the National Memorial, we came together to make these movies, and they've had a very, very powerful impact on a lot of people.
Now, is this your first stop in the States with this, or have you been to a couple of other screenings so far?
Yeah, no, we started screenings in December, actually.
So
we had our premiere.
We're way down the list.
Not too far down the list, though.
Too much, yeah.
I was in 85 cities with this first film last year, and we did about 120 screenings of that. I'm not quite sure where we're at with this one, but we premiered this film, the follow-up to the first one in New York City, and it's been rolling strong ever since.
Nice.
This is the second one in the series, right?
Correct.
And you plan on continuing this?
Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a break.
I saw a little stress look in his face. He's like, oh.
The travel.
I don't want to push you into anything.
The travel has been crazy, and then honestly, this summer I've got 2 television shows that are coming up, so those are the next priorities. And
what are those?
One is a TV series with NBC that's a show that's coming back that is a huge hit from back in the day, which I can't quite say, but I'll let you guys.
Guess?
You can try and guess.
Can you give us a hint?
T.J.
Back in the days, is it 70s?
T.J. Hooker.
I might have the bad connotation these days.
I was going to say policewoman.
Wow, I hadn't even
Seinfeld.
thought of either
Knight
one.
Rider.
Seinfeld. Blink once if it's Seinfeld, and if it's no, I'm going to put a gun to your head. Seinfeld.
Further back, right?
I think we're
talking like
thinking
70s.
Police.
Not that far
Police
back.
show,
It's
right?
a police-related show, yeah.
Yeah.
Hill
because-
Street Blues.
Magnum P.I.
Wow, you guys are hitting all the shows, but you haven't hit it yet.
Oh, man.
So, got that coming up. I think the pilot's going to be shot next month in Miami.
Now, are you
where
are
I'm
you
from?
producing, directing, or
No,
acting?
on the
You're an
NBC
actor also, right?
On the NBC show, I'll have a part in that show, and then I'll be the technical advisor. And then in July, we're going to be shooting another TV show, which I will be producing. I'll be producing and be in it, actually, and it's for the Discovery Channel. and it's going to be called Miami Voodoo, and it's going to be about ritualistic crime and the occult.
Oh, wow.
That'll be cool.
And in Miami, it's shocking how prevalent that is in society. The Haitians practice voodoo, the Cubans, many of them practice Santeria, and the Afro-Caribbeans practice Palo Mayombe and black magic. So in law enforcement, and I was a cop in Miami for 26 years, and I was the commander of the drug unit. It's just unbelievable when you're doing these drug deals or search warrants, how many people are practicing the occult
and stuff. Yeah.
And they're always putting some crazy curse on you or something like that.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you ever saw down there, cult related?
Cult related was there's a number of things, but there was one guy that was he was, it's interesting because they the Haitians have like their zombies, right? Mm-hmm. And so the zombie thing is really a true deal because the way that works, quite frankly, is there's a fish. It's called a puffer fish, and it's a little puffer thing. It's actually quite poisonous to eat if you don't know how to cut it up correctly. Mm-hmm. So they take the puffer fish and then they dry it up into powder, and then they blow the powder on you, or they ingest the powder. And so for certain people that take in too much of the powder, it puts you into this
almost death-like
comatose type state. Right. And so oftentimes what happens is people that are actually pronounced dead are not quite dead because they can't register their vital signs. And so some of them, you open the caskets later and you can see the scratch marks on the top of the coffin when they're trying to get out because they literally were buried alive.
That's scary.
They've had people actually show up like 30 years later.
Sometimes.
And say, I'm so-and-so, and...
Yeah,
people
are like, no, you're dead.
And literally in Haiti, and if you know the right places to go in Haiti, they have zombie farms where they just kind of walk around like the Dawn of the Dead kind of thing. So we actually had a case that I was not personally involved in, but happened to be there after the fact, and it was a guy that was in a bit of a zombie state from their voodoo ceremony, and he's walking down the street with his wife's head in his hand.
Oh, my gosh.
And when the officers approached him,
he
had it by the hair and threw it, and the head bounced off one of the officers' chests and fell on the street.
I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
It's got to be a little trauma.
That was a long time. That was
10, 15 years?
Yeah, about
another
that.
Tuesday night down on Lafayette Street.
Yeah, it was just another,
it's just everyday occurrence down there, huh?
Another party.
Flopping heads around. Now, you've been in some pretty big name movies. One I watched here recently, and I guess it was before I knew you, but I didn't know you were in it because I was looking you up on IMDb here.
Ah, you're stalking me.
Pain and Gain?
Pain and Gain. I actually, it's interesting.
Where were you in that movie?
Is that the Mark Wahlberg movie?
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg and The Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah, we just recently watched it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a crazy movie. But
it's based on a true story.
It's based on a true story, and it happened when I was still on the job down there. And it was these two guys that were personal trainers in a health club. Right. And they decided that everybody else seemed to have a lot of money, and they wanted that money too. And
they wanted their piece of the pie.
And it was truly a comedy of errors because these guys...
Were they really that dumb?
They were that dumb. They were bumbling idiots, quite frankly. And they tried to kill these people on 3 separate occasions, and every time they flubbed it. They just screwed it up. And so I spent 6 years developing that show with Michael Bay that directed it. And basically, in developing it was just pulling the case files and all the realistic stuff, and we brought in some of the old homicide detectives that were retired that had worked those cases. But Michael took a lot of creative liberty in that show. I remember one day he called me on the cell phone, and he's like, "Billy, where are you? Where are you? You got to get over here." And I go, "What's going on?" And he says, "You got to see this warehouse that we set decorated. It's unbelievable." And so I walk in, and it's like this porn shop with dildos and blow-up dolls. And I said, "I don't remember ever researching anything about that." He goes, "Oh, we're going to roll with it because it's funny as shit." And I was like, "Okay.
Awesome. It's going to get a laugh.
For Pain and Gain Part 2.
It was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. So it's a wild, wacky movie. I don't know how many scenes. I'm in 5 or 6 scenes in that movie or something.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing you in
little talking part. Yeah. They always throw me a little bone.
And then you were in Bad Boys 2?
Yeah, I was in Bad Boys 2.
That was the better one of the two, too.
Of the Bad Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bad Boys 2 was a great movie. And
have they done 3 of those?
Just 2.
Just 2? No.
3's on the way.
Yeah?
Oh.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we've been talking about it.
What else have you been in?
CSI, another movie called Canvas that I produced with Joey Pantoliano and Marcia Gay Harden, Academy Award winner.
Yeah.
And a couple other TV shows for National Geographic and Discovery here and there.
You're a busy guy. Yeah. How do you find time to work this documentary in during all this?
Well, you kind of have to just schedule around things, and that's why I've blocked off my whole July for shooting the Discovery series. And, I was just reading an email just a few minutes ago before I came and sat down with you guys from my producing partner out in Los Angeles, and he's trying to change dates on me, and I'm flipping my lid because I pushed everything from July into August, and now he wants to do it in August, and I said, we can't do that.
No, sir, can't do it.
Yeah, so.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it. Yeah, we're excited about it. We've heard a lot of good stuff about it. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would say in traveling around with this new documentary, it's called Heroes Behind the Badge, Sacrifice and Survival. It's part 2. It's not a sequel. It's kind of because a sequel deals with the same people, but it's all new stories. This one is a little bit more intensive about the survivors than the line of duty deaths. I'd say about 65% of the folks that watched the movie think that this one's stronger than the first one. And, I was just telling some of the guys here that I recognized from last year, and they're like, wow, I don't know how you could have made a stronger movie than the first one. And we were worried about that because, whenever you try to, keep up to the reputation of your first thing or the last project, it's tough.
Yeah, I saw the first one, and it was very, quality, right on. We give you kudos for that, and it's heart-wrenching, man.
Yeah, we're so fortunate because for both films, our director, Wayne Derrick, was all about that. He's a 2-time British Academy Award winner. He's actually in China right now working on another film. And our cinematographer, 4-time Emmy Award winner. And then Vincent D'Onofrio is our narrator.
Nice. One of my favorite actors.
He's back, and for those that don't remember who he is, Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket. Oh, yeah. He was the lead in Law and Order: Criminal Intent. And so we were just together a couple of weeks ago.
This show ends up with so many 6 degrees from Full Metal Jacket. Yeah. Gunny is our announcer for our jackwagon train.
Oh,
so he does a segment on our show, yeah.
Nice.
So we always get these little connections from Full Metal Jacket coming back to the show for some reason. But hey,
yeah, it'll work. That's still a legendary movie.
Oh, yeah. It's still good every time you watch it.
Yeah.
It'll never go out of style.
And Vincent took a little bit of a hiatus for a while, and now he's got 4 movies coming out this summer,
really?
So he is rocking and rolling.
Oh, yeah.
He really is.
The Cell. Have you seen The Cell?
See CSI?
No.
He was in one of those.
Law and Order: Criminal Intent.
Yeah.
Very good. But the interesting thing is his character is kind of like who he is.
Really?
Yeah.
He's kind of quirky.
Yeah.
Was he in that J-Lo movie?
Yeah, The Cell. That's what I was just saying.
The Cell. Man, that was a weird movie.
Yeah.
But he was good in it.
No, he was.
Oh, he had me on edge. Like, I not want to run into that guy.
He's got a film coming out with Robert Downey Jr. and he's doing Jurassic Park 22 or whatever it is.
All right, I'm excited about that. I love the Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah,
I think they're incredible.
Yeah,
I like the first one.
I'm pumped.
He was down in Brazil shooting that one. So
now, if you ever,
I'm not going to watch it unless Jeff Goldblum's in it, though.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Now, if you ever have a call for a redneck version of Penn and Teller, just know you've
guys.
Found them. Yeah. I mean, we can't do the magic. Yeah,
but you're a big guy. You could be like Vincent's stand-in.
I could. I'll do it. Yeah. Would I have to shave?
No, because he keeps it kind of gruff.
Okay.
He doesn't shave a lot.
Yeah.
You need to talk with Pepper because she's an actress also.
Oh, is that right?
She works on the Nashville show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's running around here.
You'll have to introduce me.
Yeah, I'll introduce you.
Gotcha.
Now let me ask you a question. When you've been in that many movies, do people ever be like, you look so
that
familiar?
Guy. Are you one of those that guys?
I know you're. We got a buddy, Patrick Kilpatrick, that's been in a bunch of different things, and he's that guy that nobody ever knows. Like, they don't know who he is, but the moment they see him, they're like, oh, that guy. Like, you ever get people that are just like, wait a minute, I know you from somewhere. I know you. I can't figure out where it is because you've been on the silver screen, as they say.
Occasionally, sometimes I have people that just sort of like gawk at me, and I'm not quite sure whether that's just because of my bald head or something, and they think I look like. But here's the funny thing is, the governor of Florida, and I live in Florida, his name is Rick Scott, and a lot of people think that we look alike. And so I've had people come up to me thinking that I was the governor, and actually I was.
Did you run with it?
I was working out in the gym the other day, and somebody came up to me and goes, "Governor," so
Just kind of nod,
yeah.
So I only asked that because when you walked, I was outside and you walked by, and I was like, "Man, that guy looks familiar." Like, who is that guy?
He's got a swag about him.
It's just something about. I know that guy.
Swagger.
See, we have to beg people to recognize us. Like, you hadn't seen us?
Nah, you never know. I mean, it's very, very rare, quite frankly, because when I have done these TV shows and movies, with the exception of two different things, I've always had like a smaller part because they're really good about throwing you a little bone because because you have this, with Screen Actors Guild, you get the residuals, right? So you found him on online.
I found him.
I don't see it.
There's.
If he had a goatee, maybe.
I mean, I'm seeing Woody Harrelson here on this guy.
Yeah,
I'm thinking Bruce Willis.
The people that really know me don't see the resemblance too much. I mean, anytime you have a bald head, everybody thinks everybody with a bald head
He
looks
might be a
like
tall guy like you too.
Yeah, and I just grew this goatee actually within the last month, so I actually grew it for this next TV show. So
You got to keep it. You got to keep the facial hair.
it's amazing now that I've actually grown it and paid more attention. I can't believe how many people have facial hair now.
Yeah. Well,
I guess it's really the in thing now.
And I usually grew a beard from Thanksgiving to Christmas every year. I had a holiday beard is what I called it. But when we started the show, I had the beard, and then I shaved it off about the same time we started a YouTube channel, and people went nuts. Don't you ever shave your beard? I was like, crap. But I hated being clean shaven. So now I'm just like, I'm going to go with it.
Well, when you're in Miami, it's all about the metrosexual look and the manscaping and all this other nonsense, so whatever.
One of my favorite
there immediately.
Trimming the bonsai tree.
One of my favorite internet memes about beards is I understand that a beard would not complement the feminine look you're looking for, so go ahead and keep shaving. That's my favorite one. I send it to all my buddies. They're like, I shaved.
All right.
I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, you sent it to me after I shaved mine. I was kind of the same way, though. I would grow it out at certain points of the year. Whenever it was cold or it was no shave November or whatever it was. And so I just kept it for a year. And then I was sitting in front of the mirror, and I didn't mean to shave it.
Yeah.
I had the wrong guard because I was shaving my head.
You know how many times I've done
I
that?
I had the little half inch, like the smallest one, and so I was going over and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden I was like, well, there goes the beard because I'm not going to be that guy.
That's why I've got a goatee right now is because I start off with the beard trimming and it's like, oh crap, wrong guard.
Because then you have to actually go to one of these metrosexual manscaping places to get them to touch that up, and then you're getting your toenails done.
Yeah.
Get a manicure
wax. The mankini.
Get a butt wax.
Brazilian. Get the Brazilian.
Brazilian.
The manzillion.
Yeah, right.
Ouch. I think we talked about that last show, didn't we?
What's that? Brazilian waxing? We did? It must have been another
Do they do that here in Tennessee?
I'm sure somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, actually, yeah, they do. Because I remember on I-24 there was a billboard for a while that said something about getting your Brazilians done.
Come
here.
on.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
I did see a lady walk in her pit bull. And a guy behind her
you
with
could see her Brazilian wax.
No. But no, you were asking, do they do this in Tennessee?
She had no pants on her.
And so she was walking her pit bull, and she had meth mouth. And then the guy behind her was a little bit of a mess. And then the kid in the very last was in camouflage pants with no shoes and no shirt on. And I was like, they do this in Tennessee, Well, but when they got around the building and walked back around, that kid looked complete. They had straightened themselves up because there's so many officers here. They had completely changed themselves.
So this was right here.
Legitimate. Yeah, it was. Right before everything, they looked like all-American family by the time they got around.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting neighborhood right here, and I remember from last year when we did it, there were a lot of people walk by, and plus they've got all the SWAT trucks and all the stuff out there, so it's pretty interesting.
Uh-oh.
Well, I think they're
2
announcing
minutes. He say 2 minutes or 10 minutes
for the auction.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, they're
for
going to wrap
silent
the auction up?
Yeah. Hey, so I want to share a story with you guys about last week, and it has to do with this film. So last week we were in Pittsburgh, and one of the featured stories in this movie is about an officer from the Pittsburgh area. His name is James Cusack, and he was shot 5 times. He was paralyzed, and he's currently in a wheelchair. So it was a big to-do last week, and they actually held the screening at Heinz Field where the Pittsburgh Steelers play. And there was a lot of media on television and whatnot. And so this is one of those really rewarding feel-good stories. So as a result of all the media coverage, one of the local business people, 84 Lumber actually, you might as well give them the kudos for 84 Lumber.
Absolutely.
They stepped up and offered to buy him any car of his choice and completely retrofit it for him so he can get in and out with his out of his wheelchair. And
That's awesome.
it was so special, actually. It was really, really great that they did that for him. So it was a really fun weekend last week.
I can imagine.
So
A lot of
I
good
was
things.
I was looking at I saw something about that on here earlier. I saw something about Heinz Field when you said that.
yeah, we might have
You just
posted
saw
it on the
Heinz
films.
and you latched on to Heinz because of
was
last
from
night.
the last
Not fine. The Heinz 57.
No, we will not play it. No, don't do it.
You sing Carly Simon at all?
Do I sing?
Yeah.
No, you don't want to hear me sing.
Last night's show / last week's show, because this is going to air next week. He spent 20 minutes finding the Heinz theme song from the 70s.
It was killing me. I had to.
But you found it, huh?
It was like stuck in my head, but I couldn't quite get it. You know how it's like
Found it
I
and
know it
played
is,
it.
but I can't quite. So
Apparently, there's
I had to find
an
it.
Arnold Schwarzenegger Heinz bomb out there.
There
What's
was
that?
a ketchup bomb in there.
There was like a ketchup bomb video.
Yeah. Or like the old Rick roll. Have you seen those? The Rick rolling when you're on a YouTube video, all of a sudden Rick, what's his name? Rick
Astley.
starts singing
Rick
Never
Astley.
Gonna Give
Never
You
Gonna
Up.
Give
It's
You
called
Up.
Getting Rick Rolled.
never going to
Using a
let
radio
you down.
voice.
Well, last week I thought I had found the video for the Heinz commercial, and all of a sudden you hear Arnold going, "You son of a bitch," and then it goes into this like hip hop music, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we
Heinz ketchup
we got
just
ketchup
flying
roll.
everywhere.
Have you seen the one with the car where it's driving down like the country road, and you're supposed to watch it, and as it gets closer, they say,
demon
"Look at the
jumps up.
tires! Look at the tires!" And then this like scary person jumps up and screams.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate those.
Yeah.
That got me the first time.
Well, Bill,
I don't
man,
watch those
we're
anymore.
looking forward to checking it out.
I think we
Okay,
got some
thanks for-
excited people out there.
Yeah,
They're
it
winning
sounds
some
like-
of these
So they're
silent
announcing
auctions.
the auctions.
A lot more people are starting to show up.
Yeah, did you check out what they got out?
Yeah,
Stuff?
we did.
great
Yeah,
stuff.
we got here a little bit earlier, so we got to check everything out.
And I think, weren't you guys instrumental in getting some of this stuff?
Yeah, we got a few of them from some people that have been on our show and
Awesome.
Yep,
people
some
we
of
just
our
contacted
sponsors.
and get some stuff in. So
Yeah,
friends of the show.
thanks a lot for that,
Yeah,
guys.
not a problem. It's
Good
good
stuff.
cause.
Okay.
Good cause.
Yeah.
Hey, we appreciate everything that you're doing also.
Yeah,
especially
thank you
with
very
this,
much.
This documentary.
Yeah, well,
I
thank
think
you
it's
for your
very
support
powerful.
and supporting law enforcement.
Yep, absolutely.
Can we put it out there? HeroesBehindTheBadge.com
Yes.
is the website.
Go
So
for it.
if anybody wants to get a copy of either film, quite frankly, they can go to HeroesBehindTheBadge.com and click on a link. It goes right to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial. You can
Nice.
get a copy on DVD or Blu-ray.
Is it downloadable at all? Or?
Actually, the first film's on iTunes and Amazon
Okay.
and all that kind of good stuff too. Heroes Behind the Badge, and 50% of the proceeds goes back to support the National Law Enforcement Officers
Excellent.
Memorial.
Very cool.
So make sure
Yeah.
you check that out.
Yeah.
Guys, do that definitely.
All right.
And check out Bill Erfurth.
Right?
Perfect.
Right? It's ERTH.
FURTH.
There you go.
Yeah.
Google him. That way you can check him out in his movies. Bad Boys 2,
Perfect.
Pain and Gain,
All those good
CSI. Yeah.
And then soon to be some unnamed
Some
remake
revamped.
show. We'll
Seinfeld.
figure that out.
That's right.
Oldie but goodie.
That's right.
So are you going to have like a huge part in that? Are you going to be a main character kind of deal?
just you know what? I get these little parts because it keeps my SAG card active and gets
Yeah.
me a little bit of residual action on that.
Pays
So
for that Canadian house up there.
that's correct. Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Thank you for
Thank
being
you
on the
guys.
show, Bill.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much, and
Appreciate
take
it.
care of
Looking
yourselves.
forward
Huh?
to seeing this film.
Excellent.
All right, so Matt has got to leave. There is a
Unfortunately.
nasty storm brewing up here, and he's still got to drive back to Hotlanta down to Smyrna, home of Glock.
But I wanted
So-
to show you something.
Yes.
Because we don't get to
Do
EDC.
a quick EDC there.
This is my boot knife that I carry everywhere, and you're going to laugh when you actually see it.
What in the world? What is the fungus growing on there?
No, that's where somebody has repeatedly used that thing. Look at it.
Oh,
It's a-
really?
So, folks at home, you can't really see it, but
it's
there
a
needs to be.
naked lady. Actually, it's an angel. She's got wings,
It's
and in her crotchal area, there's this like worn
I was
fungus-looking thing.
I was at a gun show and I saw it, and I was looking for a good boot knife because mine was broken, and I said, "Man, look at that thing!" And I was with my buddy Walter Barber. What's up, Walter? And I saw it, and it was $10. And I got
That's
it.
awesome.
I figured you'd like that.
I do like that. Matt, thanks for coming on. We're gonna
I
have you on
appreciate
many,
y'all.
many more times.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you, Sensei.
Master
Master.
Matt.
Master Powell.
Hey,
What's your last name about Bates?
I know.
Are you a fish baiter?
Master Baiter. Y'all didn't do chicken. All right, nobody knows that joke. No, I appreciate y'all having me on. It's pramek.com. It's pramek.com.
And I am Matt Powell on all the social media.
Yeah, Instagram. I am Matt Powell. I post a lot of pictures of fighting dogs, guns, and occasional. Yeah, we definitely will.
You rescue fighting dogs. Though. You're not posting pictures.
of fighting
and
dogs.
And, there you go.
Food. Not fighting dog food.
Dogs. Yes.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, man. All right. So when we left off at the show, at the actual fundraiser, there was a storm brewing. Matt had to take off to Atlanta, but there was a whole lot more that we wanted to talk to him about. So we brought him back in. Didn't actually bring him back up to Nashville, but we're Skyping him in. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Before we go on with Matt's interview, I do want to mention that it's kind of timely with what the meaning of this show and this fundraiser we're doing is. Recently, between the time we had the fundraiser and today in Nashville, Metro police officer Andrew Nash was found dead inside of his home on McMurray Drive. And I know that's a close friend of one of our listeners. He had asked us to mention it. We just want to say our thoughts are with the family and all the fellow police officers of him. And make sure you keep him in your thoughts and prayers. So, Matt, you made it home all right, I'm assuming.
It was a beast storm. It caught me pretty much the entire way. So it took a long time to get back. But yeah, it was pretty ugly.
Any tornadoes, twisters?
No, Savoy Leather did not show up at the Arby's when I was grabbing my Market Fresh sandwich.
They didn't jump on that tornado, huh?
No, they did not.
Well, when you had to leave, we were talking about kind of how the firearms community and the martial arts community and the social media is a little bit different, even though you've tried to start putting on the little tactical or the training tips on Instagram with the little 15-second videos, and then you wanted to go in a little bit more about firearms training and how it meshes with what you do.
Yeah, I think the one thing that when you have a firearm, you always have to be prepared for the situation, in which you have some type of failure or malfunction when you're in the middle of the engagement. You might have to get rid of the firearm for some reason. Might get knocked out of your hand. You might have to fight over a firearm. You do have to retain it, especially for concealed carry folks that don't have any type of retention on their holster. Last night we actually posted up a video. I don't know if you saw it on our Instagram of one of our students in Atlanta, Danny. She's a police officer here, and she was going through retention drills with strikes on the Spartan training gear helmet. So, you always have to be ready for that situation and to recognize that, in close quarters, you might have to lay hands on somebody. And I think it's
and you're not
a lot
talking
of people,
about praying for them.
No, not praying for their soul if it goes wrong. But, I think a lot of people, and I might catch flack for it, but I don't care. They get gun centric and they think that's all they need. And, they get gun centric and they say, okay, well, I got the gun. I don't need anything else. Mm-hmm. Or they buy a $400 combat knife and, they use it for opening letters. And, it's the martial arts side of it, the discipline that you have for the firearms side is the same type of discipline. I'm not telling people go out and try to be Ralph Macchio and the Karate Kid, and I'm also not saying to go and take Kung Fu or something. Learning good, solid combatives, good basic combative skills.
So Kung Fu is not a good, solid combative?
I don't think anybody wants to do a horse stance into the flying dragon claw. But, the knife hand strike, the cup deer strike, the palm up into, the heel of the palm up into the face, learning your vital targets, learning, those types of things, a lot of learning psychology. All those things come out of the combatives field that I think it's important that people in the firearms field get a good feel for. And it also elevates the training a little bit because you can get in and get hands-on with your shooting partners and be able to work through some different drills and say, okay, what would happen if this were going on? We get into the the square range mentality that we go to the range, whether it's an outdoor range or indoor range, we shoot paper, we go home, we think we're ready for a fight.
Right.
And, you know, a lot
Farthest
of
thing from the truth.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not. And one of the most important things is to get comfortable, you know, addressing somebody, talking to somebody, you know, giving them commands, being ready for that person to lay hands on you and, you know, to end up in close quarters with somebody so that you know what you're going to do with your gun. How's your equipment going to perform? Is your carry position the carry position that you want to work with? Appendix is a great carry position until somebody's within a foot of you, because then you've got your pistol center line to the body and all they have to do is go straight down. Yeah. You know, versus a hip carry or, you know, it's your 5 o'clock. So there's a lot of things that people by doing combatives can learn about their firearms usage.
Well, and there's something you said that triggered a memory from one of the first trainings we went to. And at the tactical response training, they wanted us to have a backup, whether it's a backup gun or a knife or something. And I didn't have a backup gun on me, but I had my SOG Trident. Well, when I ran out of ammo, I think we had to drop the gun and then go for our backup. Well, I pulled the knife out, and what happens? It slipped out of my hands. So, you know, in that scenario, yeah, I pick the knife back up, I get ready for the fight. But in reality, if a bad guy saw me drop the knife and the gun, like you said, they're going to be right on top of me.
And you're, you know, in that situation, you want to kick them away.
Yeah.
You know, get. You don't want to kick the firearm so far away that some kid, you know, picks it up and runs off with it. But, you know, if you've got a knife,
free gun.
If they don't have a knife and you have a knife and you lose control of the knife, you want the knife out of the equation to lessen, you know, the chance that you might get stabbed. You don't want to be wrestling over the knife any more than you want to be wrestling over the gun.
Sure.
And, you know, learning those basic combative skills is, you know, the ultimate backup. You know, that nobody knows that you know how to defend yourself. They don't know that you have a concealed carry weapon, but they also don't know that you know how to damage them with your hands or feet. Your ultimate concealed weapons. Just put them in your pocket, walk around.
Or your flying dragon claw.
The Vulcan nerve pinch. I mean, you never know if you Spockify somebody what's going to happen.
I tell you, you were talking about using the blade of your hand. That was one of the things I learned in one of the classes I took. When I took the jiu-jitsu class, they kind of taught us a few other different disciplines, but not as in-depth as they did with the jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu? Wow, I can't even talk. The jiu-jitsu. But they were showing us how effective the blade hand is, even though it, you know, growing up watching all these karate flicks and everything, you kind of think of it as cheesy with your hand out like a blade, but they told us to hit your traps. Hit your traps as hard as you can without like going too far and see how painful it is. And we all kind of did it, and it kind of gave us this numb sensation. He goes, now imagine if somebody did that to you as hard as they possibly could. You're going to the ground.
Yeah, if you hit into the vagus nerve on the side of the neck, which is, if you look at the modern fathers of combatives, going back to Colonel Rex Applegate and, you know, Fairburn and Sykes, most of them learned judo and jiu-jitsu, which are, you know, kind of brother systems. Mm-hmm. And, you know, judo is a lot of open hand strikes, and that's one of the keys of, you know, that's the difference between boxing, martial art, and combatives. Is in boxing and martial art, you're generally not going to have a lot of open hand strikes versus combatives, where you have a lot of open hand strikes because you get that knife edge hand. Or the knife edge of the hand. You get the forearm into the strike. You can cup your hand and do a cupped hand strike to the ear or into the jaw. You know, the open hand strike is where when you see people using open hand strikes, then you're looking at combatives. You know, we teach boxing and we teach, you know, fist fighting so that people get used to taking impact and they get used to fighting and getting into different positions of control. But most of the strikes that we completely teach are all open hand strikes because they're the most effective thing to do a lot of damage in a quick amount of time, but you also get a larger area that you can do damage with. With a fist, depending on the size of your fist, if your fist is, you know, if you have a small hand, you got a small fist, that's a very small area that will do damage to the other person versus opening your hand up. Now you have the entire length of your hand and your forearm.
Not only that, but anatomically, if you don't hit the exact perfect way, you can break so many bones from a punch, like a boxing punch, if your wrist didn't wrap.
When I was a kid, my brother, I remember my dad came and got me out of school, and he was like, "We have to take your brother to the hospital." My brother had gotten into a fight in middle school, and he had broken his hand punching a kid in the head.
Oh.
And, that generally doesn't happen when you use open hand, rigid strikes on the body.
Sure.
The other thing psychologically that people tend to forget is that if you start punching, you start boxing. Then you're in a boxing match.
Yep.
If you start open hand striking, you're not in a boxing match. You are in do as much damage as I possibly can do, and your resets are different than boxing. Your ranges become different than boxing. Your mentality becomes different from boxing when you decide that you're going to combatively strike versus boxing or martial arts strike.
Sure. And to kind of explain it on the radio, it may not translate. We'll see. If it starts to sound horrible, just stop me. Put your fist in your palm, everybody, and kind of push against your palm, and you'll feel how much wiggle there is in your wrist. And if you really think about it, unless you hit perfect, that wiggle is going to give, and you're not going to get full force. But now do palm against palm, and you're hitting basically with the two bones in your forearm. I mean, it's like a straight shot from those bones with no give at all.
Yeah, you're driving the ulna, just straight up into the person.
Right.
Versus a punch. And, a lot of people, once you start learning to punch, you want to learn to box. But if you're carrying a firearm, the goal is to not get into a boxing match.
No.
The goal is to damage the person to either get to the firearm or create distance between you that you might be able to affect an escape. Another thing that people forget about is that if you go in there and you do, your boxing, your regular martial art, and I'm not downing boxing or regular martial art, but in that situation, you are more likely to get tied up in a fist fight. And if you have defense of a third party that's there, you don't have time to be boxing with somebody while your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is 3 feet away from you. If wolves travel in packs or pairs, and they're hunting in a pair, then you're leaving the other person there. So you have to do as much damage as you can possibly do in the shortest amount of time that you can do to either get to your firearm or, get to an escape area. I always, like I said, I'm not telling, martial arts bad. I've got my martial arts background. I've got my boxing background. I boxed in middle school and high school. And then one day I got into an altercation on a close protection detail in a elevator.
Was that with Ludacris?
Yeah. Yes. And we were
not with Ludacris, but
no, but it was a funny situation because we were trying to get out of this elevator, and the club security was the gigantic beast type of guys that you see in the club. And later on, the funny thing was that year after we got off a tour, they rated the worst. Rolling Stone magazine rated the worst clubs in America, and like every club that we had gone to was on that list. And this club was the top one. It was like in St. Louis or something. And we were trying to get out the elevator, and the club security guy started pushing me back, and I'm pushing him, and Chris got taken out by, his primary guy. And next thing I know, I'm in a fight up in an elevator with a guy that was probably about 6'7", 6'8", 320. And he picked me up, and my feet were off the ground, and he had his forearm into my throat, and he was repeatedly slamming me. And that's when you suddenly go, all this martial arts stuff, I need to thumb the eye. I need to get his throat. I have to back him off through impact and pain rather than try all this neat martial arts stuff. And when somebody's that big and they've got you and they're beating the hell out of you, you're not thinking about, I'm going to use this technique and this technique and this technique. So if you know that your worst case scenario is going to happen, then you train for the worst case scenario, and then you train for that, 60% of your time. And then the other 40% is what kind of neat stuff can I do that, looks cool, or we can have a good time in class, or whatever it may be. But you got to train to the worst case scenario when it comes to combatives, so that those weapons are there and they're readily available to you, and you've put yourself into that situation to be able to fight. And a lot of people just they're good on the gun, but they're not used to somebody, grabbing a hold of them, beating them up, because they're going to start wrestling. They don't know how to disengage from the fight. They don't know how to get out of it. They don't know the different strikes they can use to start to get their way out of the fight. They're going to end up wrestling with the person, and they're going to be wrestling with a gun there.
Sure.
And, the basic, okay, the person comes up to you, hit them up into the face and so forth. That's one strike. If it doesn't stop them or you miss, what are you going to do? And that's why you get your shooting partners, or you come to like a course that we're putting on with Sage Dynamics in the summer, which is all combatives with, and work with your training partners on those types of situations.
Common sense, if you think about it.
I mean, I tell you, I've had enough fights. I've been in enough bad situations, enough fights. I mean, I've been stabbed, I've been cut, I've been stun gunned, I've been everything that you can possibly been shot at, and you kind of learn, like, well, I'm just going to go for the worst case scenario and make sure that I'm really good with worst case scenario, because everything else after that is probably going to be golden.
Sure. And it's like I've been told many times before in my life, going in junior high school, everybody's like, oh, I kicked this guy's ass. I get in a fight here. I get in a fight there. That's completely different. Now that we're adults, the only reason we should ever get in a fight is if it's to defend our own life or somebody that were our loved ones, especially if you own and carry a gun. You should never be looking for a fight whatsoever. But if you do get into a fight, it's like you were saying, there's really no such thing as a fair fight when it comes to defending your life. So you go for the eyeballs, you go for the throat, you go for whatever you could possibly do. I mean, am I off there? Or? No,
I mean, the thing is, like you said, I mean, unless you're a drunk that goes to the bar, and I'm sure somebody listening is, and,
no.
They're drunk listening to this at the bar. They're that guy that's got the headphones on. But
if they play this at a bar, I'm going to that bar and hanging out and telling them to stop, because that's a really bad idea.
But no, I mean, there really is no reason to end up in a fight. If you can at all control the situation in any way, shape, or form. But if you're going to get in a fight, the goal of the fight is to stop the fight as soon as possible, doing as much legally permissible damage to the other person while taking as little damage to yourself as possible.
Now, when you say legally permissible, kind of expand on that. Like, if let's say it's you, for instance, you probably know a way to kill a guy 20 different ways without a firearm or a knife, right?
You just got to my fighting the myths with fact. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, but anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
But if you know what you're doing, there's probably ways, well, there's not probably, there are ways you can kill a person with just your hands, feet, elbows, head, whatever. If you really know your life's in danger and there's no way out, what would the legal ramifications be for somebody like you, who's well trained, who has an extensive background in it? What would happen to you if you ended up killing somebody?
Well, I mean, it depends on the state you're in. It depends on the city you're in. It depends on the ordinance. That's why I tell people, if you're going to learn to defend yourself, the first thing to do is learn the laws around you. Mm-hmm. And the second thing to do is learn the crimes that are around you. There's no reason to learn how to do gun disarms if you live in a country where firearms are illegal and everybody's carrying a knife.
Right.
There's no reason if you review the facts of the area around you and get the intelligence from your crime reports and the police officers that are working in an area, and you find out that all the crimes that are happening right now is a guy is running around with a baseball bat and hitting people with a baseball bat, and you spend 80% of your time doing knife disarms.
Sure.
The second part of it is that you have to get to a certain point where you get, and this is up to the legal situation, that, where do you draw the line between self-defense and manslaughter or murder?
Right.
And that's something that you have to know when a firearm's one thing, But when you're fighting somebody, if they say stop, if they can't fight anymore, if they can't fight back, if they get in a fight with you, but it's just a regular bar fight, they're not in your house trying to kill you. Those are the types of questions that you have to know by talking to an attorney or, knowing your local law. Where are you? At what point are you able to defend yourself with lethal force without a weapon? Because what people forget is that the human body is a very funny thing. You can fall the wrong way and end up without the use of your legs for the rest of your life.
Sure.
You can fall the wrong way and you can end up in a wheelchair drinking out of a straw and pissing into a bag for the rest of your life. So there's a very fine line between being able to fall down and that happened to you and making someone else fall down that it happens to them.
Right.
And a lot of times people, the adrenaline gets going, you're fighting and so forth, the guy's knocked out, he's down, he can't fight back, and you keep beating him. That's hard to articulate.
Yeah.
I was here and the guy was drunk and he attacked me and he fell down and knocked himself out and I kept kicking him in the head. Like, those are the types of things that you have to know. If you know very basic good combatives, I have a general rule. I'm not going to teach a student anything that they could use to kill somebody if they're intoxicated or completely overwhelmed by a situation that their adrenaline could get the best of them. If they're going to kill somebody, they're going to do it on accident and be able to articulate that they did it on accident. They're not going to say, well, I learned to kill people from X.
Right.
And so that's what I did here.
Matt Powell taught me.
Yeah, Matt Powell at PromAct.com, taught me how to snap spines and, rip people's heads off their bodies and then pull their entrails out. That's hard to articulate in court. People, a lot of times we don't get into the legalities of what self-defense is and what you are allowed to do and not do between a firearm, a knife. And, you think about a knife, fighting with a knife. At what point have you stopped defending yourself and are you offending another person? If you fought the guy off but you keep stabbing him, those are the types of questions that I can't give somebody legal advice because I don't know what state or city or where they're at. But if you learn good basic combatives to be able to defend yourself and be able to either fight to the gun or defend yourself to control another person, to render another person unable to continue fighting, in general, you're going to learn those things, but it's not going to be something that you could just kill somebody. Killing somebody, you can take the head. You look at the movies and they snap the guy's neck by moving it a little bit. You can literally take the head and, you can turn that thing more than 180 degrees.
Yeah.
They'll
live.
Yeah, the human body can take a lot of damage, and there's a lot of damage that you can do to somebody without learning how to do lethal force.
Sure.
Sambo, which was, what I was originally trained in, self-defense without weapons, it was, a Russian form of martial art. For the civilians, the thought process is that we're going to teach people to defend themselves, but not how to attack another person, because in a polite society, there's no reason you should ever attack another person.
Right.
The attacker would always be somebody that is outside the confines of the law, so you should be able to defend yourself. Police and military learn to attack people. I don't think that's accurate in the U.S. And so, you have to be able to know the things that you can do to cause a lot of damage to somebody, whether it's, tying them up or immobilizing them or making them pass out due to constriction of blood flow to the brain, because, strangulation really doesn't – very rarely do people get a chokehold put on them and they pass out because they can't breathe.
Right.
In actuality, it's constricting blood flow to the brain and the brain shuts off. So there's a lot of things that you can learn without learning lethal force. If you're carrying a gun, the gun's your lethal force. After that, you really have to know the local legalities of what you're doing and at what point, if you do end up in a fight, can you become liable for killing somebody?
Right.
And, most people that get in a fight are not going to keep beating somebody. Most people are going to try to get away, which is, the best thing to do.
Well, and that goes to what the number one defense of any kind of self-defense situation or fight is, to avoid the fight at all cost. If you can't, then you start using everything that you know. If there's a chance that the guy is just a drunk at a bar and he's wanting to start something and you can avoid it, talk him out of it, get out of the situation, whatever, do that first. That's your first line of defense, is to get away. And every respectable trainer out there, firearms, martial arts, anybody will tell you that. They're not going to say, be ready to take him out as soon as he starts talking. No, they're going to say avoid it. And if by chance it happens, that's when the knowledge comes into play.
Exactly. And there's a certain ethical liability on the teacher. And this is something that I think we used to have that we don't have as much anymore, is that there are a lot of people today that will teach you extremely brutal ways to injure somebody.
Sure.
Very, very, very brutal ways to injure somebody. And then they will tell you, if somebody talks to you and you can't avoid the fight, then you bring 100% to the fight and use everything that you can. Well, you just taught the guy to kill somebody, but you're saying bring everything that you've got, and I'm just going to teach you the most brutal things that I can possibly teach you, to a drunk on the street that's hassling you and pushes you trying to get money. Right. Is that a situation where you should immediately kill somebody? I don't know. I'm not there. But I know that I have been pushed by drunks on the street. I mean, I lived in downtown Atlanta for almost 9 years. They will put hands on you. They will push you.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with that situation? That's the question about whether you go to jail or whether you're trying to figure out how to articulate what you did to stay out of jail.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all about, being intelligent in the way that you employ force on another person. And I'll tell you, it's funny because this is the first time in a long time I've had a question like that that's an intelligent question about the application of
This is the first time in a long time I've actually asked an intelligent question. So it worked out perfect. It's a good
thing I'm not drunk. But most people don't want to ask that question because it's that gray area that, non-ballistic lethal force in the firearms community. It's the gray area that everybody tiptoes around.
Sure.
And I think the easiest thing that people do is they immediately say go to the knife. What people forget is that committing violence to somebody with your hands is a lot different than shooting them.
Sure.
And using a weapon puts an object between you and the other person. It removes the personal contact that's there, and it removes a lot of the emotion that would usually kick in when you actually – now, it's not going to be there when you're fighting with the person, but when the person says, stop, okay, I'm sorry, that's where, it usually kicks in. So a lot of people, they're gun-centric, so people take them from being gun-centric to knife-centric to baton-centric to mace-centric. Then all of a sudden you get to somebody that can use their hands. But that doesn't make any logical sense because what do you have that you walk around with all the time? Your hands. What if you're in a courthouse where you can't have a gun and you can't have a knife? What are you going to have?
Your hands.
What if you're in church? What if you're in the bar? Those are the majority of the time. You may be in a state where you can always carry a gun. But if you're in a state where you're very limited to where you can do it, especially in areas that are prone to attack, everybody says, those gun-free zones, you're going to kill everybody. But how many people go to their kids' school with a gun on them?
Sure.
Because we generally obey the law. Mm-hmm. So if we can't have weapons there in a lot of places that we go, then the first thing, if you're a gun guy, the next thing you should go to is say, okay, if I don't have my gun, then I'm probably not going to have any other weapon on me. I need to know how to use my hands to control at least two people. And that's what I tell people. You should be able to fight two people at one time and have enough energy left to pick up your child and run them to safety or to a hospital if they're injured.
And
not one-on-one. You should be able to disable one person and two people and be able to have enough energy afterwards to remove a third party from the situation. If you can do that, you're pretty on top of your game for combatives, and it's not that difficult to learn how to do.
And that touches on something. I don't want to go too in-depth with it here. I just want to mention it again. When we had Rob Pincus in town back last year about this time, one of the things he said is we were talking about the fitness level of self-defense, and he made the comment, how are you going to defend your house and your family if someone comes barging in the door if you can't even get off the couch to go get a beer without getting winded? And I wasn't that level of fitness being poor, but I had slacked for a while, and it hit me pretty hard. And you just made another comment. I need to be able to take on 1 or 2 people, but still have the energy afterwards to get my kid or wife or friend or whoever to safety. And fitness is a big part of self-defense that a lot of people forget. Not just martial arts, firearms training. I mean, we all get reamed. That's not the word I'm thinking. We all get like zeroed in on standing at a shooter's bench at a range, loading, unloading, holding the thing, and we're standing still shooting at a target. Well, if you did that in a real firefight, you're dead. You have to be moving constantly. So it's not just, hey, I can shoot a half-inch group at 25 yards with my Glock 19. Well, you're standing still.
And to me, that's not that. It's funny because this is I've had this conversation with people. Is that to me that's marksmanship shooting? It's not combative shooting.
Right. Just
like doing point sparring in Taekwondo that's martial art. It's not combative fighting.
Well, and there may be people listening right now that are hearing that going, well, gosh, I never thought of it that way because I am a good shot, but that's really not going to help me in a hectic, chaotic, adrenaline-fueled state.
You know, your adrenaline, you can use full energy for about 60 to 67 seconds before the adrenaline starts to kick off, and because adrenaline, it's got a ramp-up period, and then it hits, and then your breathing and everything is elevated. And then at a certain point, you start to get diminishing returns on what you're doing physically. It's just like working out or whatever it may be. It's just like sprinting. And so when you think about it, you've got a limited amount of time to perform the maximum quality work that you can possibly perform before you're going to start to exhaust yourself. Now, if you're just by yourself and you end up in a bad situation and you have to pull your gun, that's one thing. But if you end up in a situation where you have your wife with you and the other guy pulls a gun and he gets a shot off, you put him down, he's got a second person, but your wife takes one to the leg and you have to drag her.
Right.
Now we're starting to see where fitness plays. Can you drag your wife's weight 25 to 50 yards and accurately keep your gun up and return fire?
Yeah.
That's where fitness becomes. Aaron from Sage Dynamics and we just released this video.
You can
F3.
say Aaron, and I know it's from Sage Dynamics.
I'm so used to the martial art world where people are like, "Are you talking about Aaron Neville?" Because I hate that guy's music. But I really do not like. But we released this product F3, which is firearms focused fitness, and it is kind of weaponizing your workout, and it can smoke the shit out of you. This workout can do it, but it's not about, lifting a kettlebell or lifting weights and holding a pistol. It's about making a workout out of the basics of what firearms usage is. And it makes you faster. It makes you better. It does those things. It gets you used to being able to have proper form when you have an elevated heart rate and breath rate. It does those certain things for you because, like you said it perfectly, we're so used to that square range mentality that, oh man, I'm pinging that little bitty box down at the end of the range. Look at how good I am. Mm-hmm. And then you're handing the firearm to the woman next to you that you have not you, the royal you might have no ability to pick up and throw over your shoulder and try to get out of a situation or drag her behind a car. Mm-hmm. One of my old mentors, Avery Mitchell, he was in a situation where there was a shooting in front of a hotel where they pulled up and they just started gunning down the crowd. And he took one through the thigh, but still was able to get his wife and pull her behind cover behind a car and return fire. So those types of things happen. So that's why I always say train for the absolutely. And people, you're gonna rise to the level of your training. It's true, but a lot of times people say it that, okay, you need to make sure that you got proper shot placement, that you're doing this, and they never think of how difficult it's going to be. Maybe you got the flu. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you got a sprained ankle. Maybe you have these certain things. Train for the worst situation. If you live in Atlanta and you travel to Denver constantly, you're at a completely different elevation. So you're going to get gassed quicker depending on where you are. I mean, you can get all the way down to how hot is it outside, and if you're on asphalt, what shoes are you wearing, because it's going to make your stomach upset. And throughout the day, that's actually going to lower the amount of energy that you have. And which is crazy to say, but that's the level that you can break down preparedness and your fitness level.
Yeah. And total ADD moment, but you said something about pulling your wife behind a car. People, if you ever have to use a car as cover and that's the only thing you got, which is not a good place to use cover, get behind the wheels.
Yeah.
The doors and the trunk, and sometimes, depending on which caliber they're using, the engine block is not going to protect you. So about the safest place to get behind on a car is right at the wheels. So
front side of the vehicle.
Just a little FYI.
Yeah. Up towards the engine, behind the tires.
Yep.
If they decide to, if they got a getaway car and they decide to go out and they got to go through your car and they go through the back end, they're probably going to aim for the back end. It's going to circle around you. You don't want to be at the place where there's, 2 pieces of aluminum and an empty truck or trunk full of, groceries or something like that. Yeah.
Unless you're hungry.
Hey, that's where I'd be. If I had a wife, it's probably why I don't have a wife. I'm going to use her for cover so that I can be eat
the groceries.
Yeah,
you're trying to get to the spinach like Popeye.
No, my protein bars be like, I'm getting pumped up for this gunfight. Hold on, I'm getting the swell on. Okay, I'm almost ready to jump back into this.
We also want to go ahead and give the winner of the trivia from the Mitch Mustaine trivia. The winner is Daryl Reese. So Daryl Reese, if you hear this, send us an email at talkingled@gmail.com and we'll get you a little package out to you. Give us your address, shirt size, all that jazz, and we'll get that to you. All right, so what we're going to do, Matt, we're going to have to split this show into 2 different episodes, but everybody don't worry. The to be continued will just be like a couple of days later. You can probably hear this on Friday evening, Saturday. The next episode will probably release on Monday or Tuesday because we'll be traveling to NRA next week, so this will also be next week's episode too. So can you join us for the second part of the episode? And we'll just splice it all in?
I am completely happy to do so. This seems to be a never-ending thing at this point.
I think we're doing that on purpose because you've been such a good guest from the first one. We'll just continue to just drag this on. Like every time you say, hey, there's something else I want to talk about, we'll say, we'll get you next time.
I'll just come in with some every now and then, I'll just come up with some random crazy rapper story or crazy, like, weird strange story that's out of nowhere because I have plenty of them.
We like strange stories
that always make me make me laugh whenever I think about them. So,
all right. So Matt, tell us a little bit more. If people want to get some training from you, where they go?
They can go to pramek.com. It's pramek.com. If you go to the shop, you can use the coupon TALKING to get 20% off anything that's there.
Nice.
Yeah, so 20% off by using the coupon code TALKING. You can't use it with other coupons. So if you're on our newsletter, you can't combine it to end up with this mega discount. And, there's different states where you can go for training. It's not just me. We have, instructors in New Jersey, Ohio, all the way over into Germany, Israel, Holland, the UK. We're kind of all over the place. Promek's actually, good sized organization. So you can always go to the website and contact me at matt@promek.com. Or you can look over to the side and you'll see, start training now, and it'll list out places where we have people that are teaching. That you can hit us up and we'll get you in connection with those people. Some of the people are, they're pure martial artists that like to discover the science of this and work slow with it. Some of the guys are, former Marines. Some of the people are very fitness based. It really depends, but every one of them is going to give you the same education that you would get in Atlanta at our HQ.
And be listening for Talking Lead doing a training with them soon. We just got to figure out the time.
Yeah. Or that strange bar I was talking about where they're playing Talking Lead and
yes,
no,
that's where the class will be held.
That would be the bar of my kitchen where I'm drinking my fine Mad Dog 2020 wine. Not really.
Boone's
It's
Farm.
Disgusting. Boone's Farm.
Strawberry Hill.
What was the Bartles and James?
Yes.
Little Bartles and James action.
Yes.
Maybe I'll
Thank you
have
for your
one of
support.
those when I'm playing shuffleboard when I'm 80.
Don't forget, this is episode 1 of 2, so be listening in a couple days for the second. And as always, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer, as well as your feet, your hands, and your mind. That's one of the most important weapons that you have.